What's up, New York? Another episode of New York State Sports here on IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Taylor Baskin with you in our new home here in different states, the Garden State, but we are still the New York State of Sports. We are happy to be here this afternoon. Coming up next, Giants struggle in the preseason. Is it a sign of things to come? Or is it just experimenting with different things? We'll dive into that also into the Texans. The Jets with a defensive battle with Carolina. So the Jets aren't really showing much in the preseason. What do we actually take away from that from the Jets? The Yankees move the Little League Classic. It's time to make a closer change. But is Aaron Boone actually going to do it? Is the database like a permit? That the Mets going to walk off against the Orioles. Big 9 games of their season coming up. Well, the Liberty are in WNBA playoffs. Talk about a little bit. NYCFC advances on. Lucky they don't advance on it. Finals. A good part of effort for PK. That time try to keep their Little League World Series hopes going. Well, in the U.S. Open begins next week in Washington. We'll have some fun with that. Talk up next here on New York State Sports at IE Sports Radio. We'll see you in just a minute. And thank you once again for tuning in here to New York State Sports, IE Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Trying out a different time, instead going with the lunchtime routine for the next couple of weeks, and then beginning after week 1 of the NFL season, we'll do some shows on Monday afternoon talking about how the Giants did, how the Jets did, and doing not strictly football, but you're going to get a lot of Monday morning quarterback and Monday afternoon quarterback. So the show is going to take a couple twists and turns over the next few weeks. Bear with me. I'm still going around different places. Very fortunate to be in the new home. We'll upgrade some things as we go, so the studio will look a lot nicer than what it is. But we're going to have some fun along the way here. This is episode 49, so one more episode till the 50th edition of the show, which we should have fun with that as well. Have a good cast of characters here today. Jen B from the Show of the Land, part of the Tuesday lineup this year. Taryn Rodriguez, thanks for hopping on. Ralph, my user report pal out in Pittsburgh, thanks for hopping in. Want to remind you, of course, if you missed any portion of the show, be sure to go to any of the podcast platforms or listen to your podcast, or you just want to listen to me talk again. I'm always happy to hear from you, so check that out. You could follow us on X, IG, Facebook, and TikTok. If you want to look at our show page, iesportsradio.com/New York State Sports, or you can follow me on Twitter at NYStateSportsIE and at Rickinator555. Again, if you want to chime in the chat, feel free to go here on the YouTube page. Happy to hear from you as well, so please stay tuned for that. But before we dive into the Giants and the craziness that has gone on with that, we got to talk about some sponsors. People that pay the bills here for the summer. Get you some cool snack ideas of Planet Jerky, some invitation ideas of Dealer Deal Wax Seals, and you can hear a little bit more about the great website we have, iesportsradio.com, and what it has done over the last 10 years. So stay tuned for that. We'll be right back to talk some New York Giants in just a minute.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole oven. Planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And a special thanks to, of course, Planet Jerky, Seal the Deal Wax Seals, and, of course, great IESportsRadio.com. Three awesome websites, of course, one being IE Sports Radio. But again, 3 weeks till football season. You're looking for that good snack, Planet Jerky. Definitely that snack for you to have during your favorite team's game. And then Seal the Deal Wax Seals, wedding invitation, party, housewarming. You never know what might happen. So be sure to check that out today. So let's dive into the Giants. Of course, 3 weeks of the regular season begins, and a little bit of a setback. I would say just slightly. The Giants lose their second preseason game, 28-10 to the Houston Texans, and in the scheme of things, it's not too big a deal when you look at the big picture for this team, because you never want to really look at preseason games and be like they're the end all and things can go haywire. But you look at Daniel Jones, gets his first preseason start, 11 of 18, 138 yards, 2 interceptions. Not exactly the greatest game from him. Had one that was dropped as well. And when you look at the Giants' game plan going into this game, there was a clear need for Brian Daboll and his offense to go deep. And when you have elite Neighbors and you have Jalen Hyatt and you have these deep threat guys, that's going to be the option you go with in the grand scheme of things. Because this is a team that has to stretch the field. They don't have the dynamic playmaker like a Saquon Barkley in the running game to do that. Devin Singletary is going to do okay. He had a touchdown in this game. But the key is going to be to stretch the field. And if you have that protection with the offensive line, you're able to do that. So they took some shots downfield. And to me, it's kind of like the equivalent in baseball and spring training. When you look at a pitcher, they're going to mainly look at, there's going to be a start where they focus solely on their curveball, or a start they're going to focus solely on their changeup, or a hitter is going to solely focus on hitting a fastball, or hitting a two-strike, mostly hitting the two strikes. You'd rather work those things out now than have it happen week one against the Vikings. So to get Daniel Jones at least get his feet wet, get back in the grand scheme of things, is he the greatest quarterback in the world? Absolutely not. Are the Giants maybe going to look for a quarterback next year? They should, unless Daniel Jones lights the world on fire this year. But I wouldn't overreact to one preseason game. I've seen people go crazy while following along on X on Saturday, and people were already thinking the Giants were the worst team in the NFL. I don't think so. I think there's enough talent here where they can have a decent season, and we'll dive into that more over the next few weeks when we preview the NFL season. I won't say there's no concern, but I'm not going to sit here and say that things are going crazy. I mean, Darius Slayton had a good game, had a long 44-yard catch in this one. Eric Gray, 5 more catches out of the backfield, so he's doing some things in that backup running back job that you'd like to see. I mean, defensively, Giants didn't really get any sacks on C.J. Stroud or Case Keenum. That's not a good thing, but you had an interesting play from Elijah Chapman in this game. Chapman was running, J.J. Taylor looked like he was running to the house on a run play, and Chapman ran him down, made a great tackle on that defensive line. So you're seeing the Giants finding good things with their defense. They did have the injury to Micah McFadden, but all signs sound like he's going to play in week one, or at least that's the hope. So they don't lose anything there. They did let go of Jalen Mills in their secondary, which I think is a little bit of a concern. Just because this Giants secondary is already out of a lot of veteran talent, so you would think when cut down day happens next week, there's going to be more of a standpoint of going after corners and safeties that don't make other NFL teams rosters, just because there's not a lot of veteran depth that they're looking for. Malik Neighbors did stand out in this game. Remember, in week one against the Lions, he didn't really get targeted, but he played. He had 4 catches, 54 yards, 6 targets, a 21-yard catch. Definitely some good things. You're seeing that he can create separation on routes, and this Giant offense desperately needs somebody like that. So Neighbors is going to provide, I think, some good talent in that regard in helping this team grow and take that next step as an offense. But I'm not going to sit here and rip this Giant team to shreds over one game, one preseason game. It doesn't count. It doesn't matter. Tommy DeVito was okay, but again, as we talked about last week, if Tommy DeVito and Drew Lock are playing for this Giant team, Lock maybe more so, more of a chance than DeVito, and I just don't think that this team is limited into its ceiling. And I guess you kind of saw that on Saturday, where you're looking for the team to take the next step offensively, and it's just not there. But all in all, I'm not going to sit here and rip the Giants to shreds over a preseason game. I don't think that really means so much in the grand scheme of things. So let's talk some Jets. They were out in Charlotte taking on the Carolina Panthers. And it was a battle of field goals up until a late touchdown in the last play by the Panthers. It was a 15-12 final. Just a real ugly football game. And with the Jets, that's what you're going to get in this preseason because they're not going to play a lot of guys. Like, that's just the sad reality of things is you're not going to see Aaron Rodgers in this preseason. You're not going to see Breece Hall. You're not going to see Garrett Wilson. You're not going to see Mike Williams. So it's really hard to judge this Jet team in a preseason. You're not going to sit there. You're going to look for guys that are on the back of the depth chart to kind of make plays and do their thing. Offensively, they didn't do much. Adrian Martinez threw a pick. Andrew Peasley, only 11 attempts, 33 yards, didn't really stretch the field. Their best receiver, Lance McCutcheon, just 25 yards, but you saw a little bit more from Braylon Allen, 8 carries, 27 yards, but only 3 yards a carry. Isaiah Davis, only 3 yards a carry. So really a defensive effort in this game. So the Jet offense, I don't think, had a lot to be desired from that standpoint. You wanted to see some Malachi Corley. You did. 2 catches for 10 yards. Not a bad performance. But I wanted more explosion. When you go ahead to the Snoopy Bowl Saturday at MetLife at 7:30 Eastern. Again, with the Jets not playing anybody, what is there exactly to gain in the preseason other than trying to see if guys are going to make roster spots? I think that's really your ultimate concern with this Jets team. I love what they did, though, on defense. I think that was a big key for this team. 7 tackles for loss. You saw what Will McDonald can do in making plays. He had a tackle for loss. He had a sack, which was the Jets' only sack of the game. I thought Brandon Eagles did a good job tackle for loss. He had 4 tackles in this one. That's a key player in the secondary. So, but Carolina, when you look at it, didn't start Bryce Young, didn't start Chuba Hubbard, didn't start really any of their key playmakers for the second straight game. And it begs the question, what is the preseason really for? Because if you're a Jets fan and you're excited for the season, and of course you want your guys to be healthy, but you also want Aaron Rodgers to get in there a little bit after only playing 4 snaps last year. I think that's the one concern you're looking at with this squad is seeing what it can look like as a unit and not have to take the first 3 games of the season to do that. While they get Tennessee and New England week 2 and 3, and those are teams you could probably adjust some things against. San Francisco is a different animal. I think you would have liked this offense to kind of get a dress rehearsal on Thursday and get going with the season 2 weeks away. They're not going to do that. So there's a lot of mystery and unknown with this team. But there's mystery and unknown anyway. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is going to be somebody that we're going to keep a close eye on the next couple of weeks and see if he can get those reps in practice and get the rust worked out, because that's going to be a tough game. Regardless of how you see it, it's going to be a tough game. And you can't necessarily take it as an end-all be-all with the Jets. So they get the win 15-12. They're 2-0 in the preseason, so strong start for the New York Jets. Again, they will take on the Giants Thursday. But let me know what you think. Are you a big believer in preseason football? Because you're seeing some teams play their guys and try to get guys starter competition, and other teams just not playing their big guys. And I think looking at it from the Jet perspective, you're seeing great things defensively, but you'd like to see a little bit more on the offensive side. We already know what this defense is, but it's like unwrapping a Christmas present or a holiday present, if you will, what this offense is going to look like September 9th against the 49ers. So much to get into with that. But we're going to take our first break. We will come back. We will dive into some baseball. Yankees lose the Little League Classic, but I think they have bigger concerns than that. But with the state of baseball, do they really need to make a lot of changes? And the Mets get a big walk-off win against the Orioles last night, which also made Yankee fans happy. So that we'll talk some baseball coming up next. You're listening to New York State Sports and iSports Radio, direct feed for all of the sports. We'll be right back in just a minute.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And of course, welcome back to New York State of Sports here on IU Sports Radio, direct feed for all that is sports. Rick and Keeler is back here with you. And look, we talked about preseason in the last segment, and Caleb Williams in Chicago. I mean, that's something I think that's something you want to watch, and I think that's something Bears fans are, and Adam's show included, very happy to see. Let's get into the baseball. And look, that was a really fun moment that the Yankees had in Williamsport against the Tigers. All reports aside, there was a report of the Staten Island manager not being happy that his players didn't get anything from Aaron Judge, even though they met a bunch of other players. But all things aside, the Yankee Tiger Little League Classic is something I love. We talked about it last week, seeing the players get off the plane, seeing the kids mob them and get autographs and things like that, or Garrett Cole talking to a little leaguer on the bus. Jazz Chisholm with the camcorder behind home plate. Like, those are moments you don't get back. And moments you'll probably never have as an 11 to 12-year-old. So the fact that those kids got to have that experience of a lifetime with those players, I mean, the pageantry and the atmosphere of that event has been special over the last 7-8 years in the sport. And another New York team will get to do it next year. The Mets will be playing the Mariners in the Little League Classic. So you'll see Mets, I think, have been in it before. They played the Phillies once, so it's no surprise that they're back in this spot again. But I think you look at the Yankees right now, and you're seeing warts that I don't know if they can fix. They've had a 6-game stretch where they played the White Sox and the Tigers, two teams that sold the trade deadline, two teams that are going in opposite directions, two teams that really are in a seller's mode. And they went 3-3. That's not good enough. That's not good enough because you look at this team and you look at the way that it's set up. Clay Holmes has been in the closer spot all year. He has blown 10 saves. The last Yankee closer who blew 10 saves was Dave Righetti in 1987. And I know Aaron Boone's been talking about it's not all Clay Holmes' fault. But when you're a ground ball pitcher, a sinker ball pitcher like Clay Holmes is, he cannot be the guy. You've got to try something else. I don't know what that something else is. I mean, I've made the point to friends I've talked with that like Luke Weaver should get a shot. You could throw Tommy Kahnle in there. You could But in the end, what option they have in the regular season isn't probably going to be their option in October. I mean, if and when they get to October, you could look at Clark Schmidt maybe coming out of the bullpen when he comes back because you can't stretch him out enough. Or Luis Heel maybe goes to the bullpen. Like, they're going to have to get that creative in October because that's really, they have Achilles heels galore. And believe me, it wasn't just Holmes that was bad in that game on Sunday. The Yankees scored 2 runs. And yes, they faced Tarik Skubal, who's one of the better pitchers in the game. But the 2 runs they scored were a wild pitch and basically not getting runs via hit. That's a problem against the Tigers team. You saw Friday, they got a home run from Peraza and Judge. They didn't really score. And you're seeing the issues that this team had when Jazz Chisholm wasn't here. You take one player out of that lineup, and Jazz made that team athletic. He made them dynamic. He made them do a bunch of different things. But when you take that speed and athleticism out of the lineup, the team runs stale. Look, Alex Verdugo's been terrible, and then you find out he's allergic to his batting glove or material in his batting gloves. So there's issues the Yankees have, and their bullpen's been a major mess. It's been nearly over 4 in August. Mark Leiter pitched the 10th. He couldn't get him out. And you look at that deadline for Brian Cashman, it's been absolutely terrible, as we've talked about, because of injuries and things of that nature. But they can't find guys to get out. Now, they're going to have pitchers come back, hopefully soon. Scott Effross, Ian Hamilton, Lou Trevino. They'll get reinforcement, but they're not the reinforcements they can go for. And one of the things that Brian Cashman swung and missed at the trade deadline is getting pitchers with swing and miss stuff. They don't have it. And you're seeing today with the Cubs, to go back to Chicago, Hector Neris got released, and they're calling up Jack Neely, who they got in Mark Leiter deal. Jack Neely is a swing and miss guy in AAA. The Yankees not giving him a shot, I don't understand that. And not giving him an opportunity when you're trying to find everything that works. So this bullpen's going to be an Achilles heel for this team in October. But the problem you have right now, if you look at baseball and the way things are lined up, I mean, the Yankees are about to play Jen's Cleveland Guardians this week in the Bronx, and both teams have the same record. Essentially, the Yankees have one more win. You go to the National League with the Phillies, 73-51, half being better than the Yankees. Dodgers, 74-52, half being better than the Yankees. Brewers, about the same, 72-52. So when you have like 5 to 6 teams with essentially the same record, is that good for the sport? My answer to that's no. I mean, the fact that every team has a wart somehow that they're not able to address, because you look at the sport as a whole, having 3 playoff spots, there's not an incentive to push to be the best team. There's not an incentive to push to get every resource possible because you're not going to get in. Like, you look at the wild card right now, the Yankees do lead the Orioles by a half game based on Baltimore's loss last night. The Red Sox are 7 back in the loss column of a playoff spot with about 37 games to go. So in all likelihood, barring an absolute collapse, the Yankees are going to be in the playoffs. Now, they want that play-in. They want that, if they don't win the division, they want that 4 seed because they can host the best of 3 with Kansas City or Minnesota or Boston. But KC and Minnesota right now are 3 games behind. And the Royals schedule, if you look at it, is absolutely brutal. I mean, Seattle would be the next team in line. The Yankees have a 10-game lead in the loss column on Seattle. So when there's not that push for urgency in August, that there hopefully will be in September. But this is still going to be a really good series. The Yankees, of course, played Cleveland back in April. They split 2 games in a doubleheader. Yankees took the finale in that series. And look, Cleveland, Jen can probably tell you herself, they're not healthy right now, at least in the starting pitching front. I mean, Matthew Boyd's pitching tonight against Luis Heel. Garrett Cole's going to throw on Thursday. And then on Wednesday, it's to be determined against Nestor Cortez. So I think this is a fun matchup. I think it hopefully will have a playoff atmosphere this weekend, or this week, I should say. But is it really going to tell you everything? I mean, Stephen Vogt could probably tell you the same with Aaron Boone. These teams are not complete right now. If the Yankees sweep Cleveland, sure, it'd be great. But Cleveland, as you know, a couple of years ago, was a pest to the Yankees. The fact that series went 5 games was something that was a surprise to a lot of people. Not me back then. I had the Yankees in 5 in that series because I thought Cleveland, what they do best is they make contact. They don't run into outs. They don't do stupid things. They don't fly in the home run, which the Yankees tend to do. So I think it's going to be interesting. And Jennings said pitching's a mess right now in Cleveland. Too many injuries. Bullpen is gassed. And I was watching LB Central this morning, and the question they had was, what's the bigger concern? Cleveland's rotation or the Yankee bullpen? I would say the Yankee bullpen. Until you're getting consistent length from Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, who was bad on Saturday, gave him only 3+ innings. You get more from Nestor, who was really good in his last start against the White Sox, but you need more consistency from him. Stroman was decent on Sunday. They need more consistency from him. The bullpen's going to get taxed, and this bullpen isn't good enough to get taxed. There's just not a lot there right now, which is weird because, again, I'm talking about a Yankee team that has Aaron Judge with 44 homers, that has Juan Soto, that has Stanton, that has all these players, and you're talking about them like they're a bad baseball team. And my argument to that would be you're not going to have that. Like, every team is going to talk about their warts. Jen would tell you with Cleveland. I mean, the Dodgers have their struggles. The Phillies can't find help in the bullpen. The Orioles, who are half game behind, they're having their issues. Every team has issues. Now, is that good for the sport? Probably from a competitive balance standpoint. From a watching standpoint, I'm not there yet to say that this team has the pieces to win a championship. They're capable of it. Absolutely capable of it. But can they find the right moment to push the button? Now, they'll get Cleveland this week, which will be tough. Then they get Colorado this weekend, which, yeah, should be an easy series for the Yankees. But if you want to be a contending team, if you want to be a championship-winning team, you can't be playing down to bad teams the way that this team is. You just can't do it. Like, they played Toronto, struggled. Angels, struggled. Texas, struggled. Now they'll get Colorado. And they'll have the celebration of the 2009 World Series team, which, again, the last team to win a championship. I'm kind of disappointed there's no Mark Teixeira at this event, but I mean, that 2009 team brought about a lot of to be able to like, that team had great moments from the Twin Series, the Angel Series, of course, the 6 games for the Phillies. I was looking back at Game 4 from 2009 the other day. I mean, that team is really one of the last childhood teams of people remembering a championship, and that's why Yankee fans get as angry as they did. Again, I think they're okay, but being great, I need to see something against Cleveland. We know they can beat the good teams, but maybe it's more they need to kick the stuffing out of Colorado. Sorry, Aaron. Than beating Cleveland, because I want to see this team when they play a bad team with this softer schedule they have, take advantage of it. Team though without a softer schedule is the Mets, who had a rough start to their homestand. They lost 2 or 3 to the A's, including a series finale that they walked 11 batters in, which that's been their Achilles heel all year is walks. They give teams extra outs consistently. And then you look at the Marlins series where they take the first 2 games. Luis Severino was dominant on Saturday with a complete game, and they lose the series finale, blowing the lead late. Again, in May or June, you're happy about taking 2 or 3 against the Marlins. But when you have a schedule as tough as the Mets do coming up, you have to sweep. But there were some good things last night when they took on the Orioles. They're getting a 3-game series. Francisco Alvarez, of course, delivers his first walk-off home run. As Ralph pointed out, maybe that gets them going. And let's talk about the last couple of weeks. I mean, Alvarez has been really good with helping the pitching staff. But can he do things from an offensive perspective? Because the Mets are going to make or break the postseason by their offense. The pitching is what it is. I mean, Paul Blackburn was good on Sunday. He's had 3 good starts, had 4. He was awful against the A's. You have a situation in which the Yankees, the Mets as a whole, just don't have enough depth in that pitching rotation to be successful. And in the bullpen, They don't have a lot in terms of swing and miss either, and they're not using Edwin Diaz enough. They're trying to get a lot out of Reed Garrett. They're trying to get a lot out of Phil Maton. They're trying to get a lot out of other options in that pen. Is that good enough? No, but that's why their offense is going to need to get it going, and Francisco Alvarez is one of those guys. So to get that home run, to get that energy, to get that flair out of that Citi Field crowd last night, I mean, that's what this Mets team needs in order to be successful. So you love what Alvarez did. You also love what David Peterson did. And David Peterson, what I didn't mention him with the other pitchers, is David Peterson has very quietly been one of the better pitchers in baseball over the last month. We talked about Sean Manaea and what he's been able to do. He'll pitch Wednesday afternoon against Zach Eflin. But you look what Peterson did last night against a really good lineup. He goes 7 innings, looked dominant in the early portion of the game, lost 2 earned runs, 6 hits, walked the batter, and strikes out 8 on 101 pitches. And you love that Mendoza lets Peterson pitch into the 7th, because right now the Mets need to get as many innings out of the starters as possible. And Peterson, really, his start was unglued when he got a ball called in the 7th, and the next pitch, Ramon Urias hits a crushing home run to dead center to tie the game. And that takes some of the flare off Peterson's start, but I wouldn't rip him for it. I mean, this is a pitcher that is pitched to a 3 ERA. If he had enough starts, he'd be a top 10 ERA guy in the National League. And if you look at his August in particular, I mean, he has been really good in August. 2-0 with a 1.85 ERA over 4 starts. He has been what the Mets were looking for earlier in the year. He has definitely taken the next step in his development. People forget he's only 28 years old. And the Mets need a guy, the lefty at the top of the rotation. I'm not saying Peterson is that guy. I still think he's a more of a 3 to 5 type starter. But he's pitching like a number 3. He's pitching to his ceiling. And I think that's what the Mets are looking for. They got Severino hopefully reaching his peak after what he did Saturday. You throw Peterson in the mix. You've seen how dominant Manaea can be. They've got Quintana tonight. Can he deliver and continue to be consistent? That's all the Mets starters really need is consistency. And they kind of catch a small break with a couple of injuries in the wild card race, where you have Austin Riley fracture his hand, missing 6 to 8 weeks, essentially out for the rest of the regular season. Braves already are doomed by injuries at this point. The Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte on the IL with a sprained ankle. So when you look at the Mets from a wild card perspective, this is where they're at right now. They're going to take the division out of play. I don't think they're catching the Phillies. They're a game and a half behind the Braves. Giants are 3.5 behind Atlanta. St. Louis is 5 behind. But the only 2 teams with an over 500 record chasing Atlanta are the Mets and the Giants. Atlanta has the Phillies for 3 games this weekend at home. When you look at Atlanta's schedule, they have the Phillies, Nationals, Twins, and Phillies. So they will play playoff teams in 9 of the next 12 games. Or potential playoff teams in Minnesota's case, but I think they'll make it. One of them, Casey or Minnesota, is going to make it. But the Mets' next 9 is going to be really crucial for this team. They have 2 games coming up with the Orioles the rest of the week, wrapping up this 10-game homestand. Quintana against Framer tonight, Eflin against Manaea on Wednesday. Then they go to San Diego for 4. Padres, a very difficult team, best team in baseball since the All-Star break. This is a really good squad. Then they get a day off. Then they get Arizona for 3 in the desert. This is their last big road trip of the year. And if the Mets can just find a way to win 5 of these games out of these next 9 and go 6-4 on this stretch, I think they're going to be in a good position. I think they're going to be in a good position because you look at the schedule the rest of the way after that. They got the White Sox, they got the Reds, they got the Blue Jays, they got the Nationals, and even the tough teams that they play. I mean, Boston, playoff spot teams, Phillies. They have another 7 with the Phillies, but 4 of them are at home. And they have Milwaukee to end the year, but who knows if the Brewers have anything to play for outside the number 1 seed. So if the Mets can at least not crash and burn, I'm not asking them to, as Ralph says, this road trip decides the year. I would agree. And they got a break that Brandon Nimmo is okay after he left Sunday's game. His MRI came back clean, so really good news for them on that front. But they need to take advantage. They need to win at least 5 of these next 9. Beat the stuffing out of the White Sox. I go to September 1st feeling pretty good when the rosters expand. If they can hold water and the Braves start to struggle without Riley, the Mets can make the playoffs. I don't think the expectation should be that the Mets do a lot in the playoffs because I don't think they're built that way. But they have at least a shot. And it's going to come down to what their pitching can do. San Diego's a good team offensively. Arizona's a good team offensively. But their offense might have to keep up. And you saw J.D. Martinez hit a home run yesterday. Maybe that goes a long way. Mark Vientos is hitting the ball much better. They have the pieces. It's now just about putting it together. And I think they realize how crucial this next 9 games is. Because if they crash and burn, their season's going to be over. But when you have the Braves really just clinging to that spot, which has been amazing with all the injuries they've had to key players, Acuna, Albies, and now Riley, this is where David Stearns and his team have to take advantage of this and find a way to make the playoffs. So they're going to do that. They're going to have to get aggressive, and whether that's putting Jose Butto in the late game situation instead of trying to get 2 innings out of him every so often and only using him twice a week. How do they continue to change his usage? Edwin Diaz maybe might have to get more 4-out saves. Like, the last 40 games, figure it out. So we'll take one more break. We'll come back, and we will talk New York Liberty making the postseason, continuing their epic season. We'll talk NYCFC. We'll talk Little League. We'll talk U.S. Open. Tennis is next week, which is one of my favorite events in sports. We'll dive into all that, wrapping up the show. Coming up next here on New York State Sports and IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and sinners. Hello, sports fans around the world. Hello, IE Sports family. This is Cale Henderson, the host of IE Vegas, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio. If you folks are interested in sports in the Vegas area, if you're wanting to have a blast for 1 hour every Tuesday night from 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, this is a show built for the Vegas sports fans, where we feature the Las Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Golden Knights, the Las Vegas Aces, and the University of Las Vegas, Nevada Rebels. Hopefully, fingers crossed, MLB team coming soon. Either way, if you folks are looking to have a blast for 1 hour each and every week, tune in Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you folks are interested in Vegas sports news, go to our Twitter at SinCities_IESR, and you can speak with me, the host, Cale Henderson, at Cale_Henderson on Twitter at any time. Be happy to reply. Always want to reach out to our fans. Again, the Sin City Sports Show, presented by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
And welcome back to the last 15 minutes here on New York State Sports Night, Sports Radio, direct feed all that is sports. Rick Keeler back here with you. We just finished up talking some baseball, so let's talk some basketball. And the New York Liberty, coming off the Olympic break, you would think they would show a little bit of rest, try to show some stuff, show some little bit of issues. I mean, they were 21-4 in the first half. I mean, you're bound to not see the team keep doing it, but they keep doing it. 2 big wins on the West Coast. It started Thursday against the Sparks. They won 103-68, absolutely dominated LA. That game was done in the first half. Breanna Stewart had 27 points, 10 of 15 shooting. Sabrina Ionescu had 18 points, 6 to 13. Kayla Thornton, 4 threes off the bench. She had 16 points. The Liberty shot 50% from three, 53% from the floor overall. Just an absolute dominant performance. For the Sparks are a team, sorry, Larry B, that you should dominate. I mean, this team is dealing with the injuries themselves. They've had a rough season. Good way to start the break. But then they go to Vegas. They'd beaten Vegas earlier in the year. It was a big test, nationally televised game. Chance to make a statement for this Liberty team. They get down at the end of the first quarter, and then the second quarter, they outscore them 18-8 and proceed to win the game 79-67. Sabrina Ionescu with 23 points. Stewie had 18. Jonquel Jones, 17 rebounds, and that's big going up against the team that has A'ja Wilson, one of the best rebounders in the WNBA. Laura Fevish had 12 points getting the start. So when you look at this Liberty team, it's a special group. I mean, we know the championship expectations they have. There's a reason they're 23-4. There's not going to be a lot of these last 13 games going to really push what they are. I mean, the goal for them is to get home court throughout, maybe, and definitely into the WNBA finals. There is a couple pitfalls they could have. I mean, I think still, if a team can keep up with them with a three-point shooting, I think that's a team that can compete. But really, outside of that, if Jones is clicking on the board, if Dewey and Ionescu are doing their thing, they get Fevish and stuff. And remember, Sabally didn't really play. But Laney Hamilton's been dealing with a knee issue. She hasn't really played. The team is only going to get better. Like, that's the scary part. The Liberty are doing this, and they're not fully healthy. But it speaks to their stars. I mean, they have the super team, the WNBA. But can they convert that into a championship? That's going to be something I think people are going to wait to see if it comes into fruition. Now, they get 2 easy games coming up. They play the Dallas Wings back-to-back at the Barclays tonight at 7 o'clock on NBA TV, and then Thursday. And then Saturday, they will take on the Sun. They've beaten the Sun, I think, 3 times this year. But their first meeting with Marina Mabrey there, Mabrey coming over from the Sky, that helps their three-point shooting. We can find a wart in there somewhere. And then they get Phoenix on Monday out in Arizona. Liberty lost there earlier this year. They will go out and play the Sparks again a week from tomorrow in LA. So they do have another West Coast trip to end August. But then after that, they're pretty much at home the rest of the year in September. Again, the goal for the team is the championship, but to see what they did in Vegas, and they've done it twice against this Vegas team they lost to in the championship last year. There's clearly putting a lot more emphasis on those games, and that goes a long way to deciding what this team is actually capable of. So, heck of a job by the Liberty. And when we're talking Giants, Jets football in the September and Yankees, Nets pennant races, we're going to be talking Liberty postseason. The only thing that's scary with that right now, if you look at the standings, the Liberty are the 1 seed right now by 4 games. If things break a different way, right now Chicago's the 8th. The matchup would be New York against Chicago. They could beat Chicago because Chicago really beat them earlier this year. This guy can't shoot the 3. That's really a big problem for them. But the 7th seed is Indiana and Caitlin Clark, who just broke the rookie assist record. And Caitlin Clark had a Caitlin Clark kind of game, triple-double early in the year in Indiana, beat New York. In a best of 3, do you really want to have to go against Indiana? And maybe Caitlin finds a couple of sparks and does some things. So that's going to be something to monitor in terms of the bottom of the playoff race, is who the Liberty might play in a best of 3. But overall, they've got the team that can click against anybody. So I wouldn't go crazy with that, but it's something to monitor because I think people would love the Indiana, New York first round series, I should say. If you look at NYCFC, now they had a fun game earlier this week, last Saturday actually, against Columbus. Now it was the quarterfinal game in the Leagues Cup. Remember, they had gotten as far as they possibly could. Nick Cushing, I think reached the expectation. And then they go out right out of the chute, not even 15 seconds into the game, and they get a goal from Adrian Martinez. You're thinking that's the start they need. They're on the road, very tough place to play against the defending MLS Cup champions. But then they allow a goal to Hernandez in the 41st minute to tie. And what was weird about the penalty shootout, which again, remember, after 90 minutes in League Cup, these games go to PKs, and NYCFC had won 2 of these matchups via PKs in League Cup. They lose the penalty shootout 4-3, and the 2 people that missed are their 2 stars, Maxi Morales and Santi Rodriguez. That's just the randomness of PKs. And Diego Rossi, who was the hero for Columbus against Miami, missed a PK as well. But it's not really anything I would get too upset or would put my head down if I'm NYCFC, because it's a good run. That's a run that can carry them into the rest of the season. I mean, they weren't going to be. They had a tough time with Columbus. They were going to. Now that the draw opened up for them a little bit with Cincy losing, that if they had played a team like Philly, they could have made it to a final. But in the end, they're looking to just find some mojo. I think they've started to find that over the course of these last 3 games, only allowing 1 goal to each of the last 3 teams. Matt Freese has done a really good job in net. I think that's been a big key. So they will get back to MLS work Saturday. They will host Chicago over at Citi Field, and then they'll have another rematch with Columbus to end the month in Ohio. So that's going to be something to monitor for NYCFC. Red Bulls are going to be back in action as well. They will be taking on Charlotte. That game in North Carolina this weekend, 7:30 Eastern. If you need a refresh on the MLS table, let's throw that up there for you. Red Bulls right now are in the 4th position at 41 points. NYCFC is 5th at 38 points. So both these teams in good position to potentially make the postseason in MLS. But it's not how they do over the last month. But overall, good tournament for Nick Cushing and his squad. Now, if you want to look for something to watch tonight, of course, you got the Yankees against the Guardians, you got the Mets against the Orioles. The other thing you could look at and watch is South Shore Little League out in Staten Island. They are still going in the Little League World Series. They won Sunday morning against Illinois. They're in the consolation bracket, if you will. They're going to be taking on Florida tonight. Now, that is a team from Lake Mary, Florida, again, 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. South Shore won against Hinsdale, Illinois. As I said, 4-0 the other day. They got great pitching, timely hitting in the 4th inning. Florida ended up playing yesterday. They lost to Texas 4-1. Texas, I think, has been the best team in the U.S. bracket so far. New York, I don't think it's played them yet. They played Nevada. Nevada's actually been really good too. So Nevada's going to play Texas. The winner is going to go to the U.S. Championship. So if you look at New York's loss so far, it's not the worst thing in the world. If they do win tonight, I believe they go on and play tomorrow. If I look at the Little League bracket correctly, let's see. Oh no, they wouldn't play tomorrow. They play Thursday. So Nevada and Texas will play tomorrow. The losers, basically, Pennsylvania and Hawaii will be an elimination game later today, and then Florida and Staten Island will be an elimination game today. So those 2 move on. I believe they play each other at some point. I believe that might be tomorrow, the winners of these games. And the winner of that game will play the loser of Nevada and Texas, which takes place on Wednesday. So South Shore has to win the next 3 days to make the championship game in the United States. So best of luck to those kids. Hopefully they can make a deep run. We'll, of course, recap the entire Little League World Series next week. But that should be it's been a fun moment for those kids, and we'll see ultimately what they do. Now, the other big event taking place, at least in New York, is the U.S. Open. U.S. Open taking place in Flushing Meadows. That starts on Monday now. If you're looking for something to do this week, they have a fan week over there, which you can get in for free, do some cool things, watch some practices, watch some qualifying matches. Of course, there's the big news this morning. Jannik Sinner, who's the number 1 seed in the men's side, tested positive for a substance that was ruled that he's eligible to play in the U.S. Open because of with the low levels or something like that. It's a really complicated statement. Not going to dive too much into it. Point is, Jannik Sinner's going to play. Carlos Alcaraz, Wimbledon champion. Novak Djokovic winning the gold medal. The key to me is what the U.S. men do between Francis Tiafoe, who made a run in Cincinnati, Doug Corda, Taylor Fritz, Ben Shelton, Tommy Paul. There's not really one of those men that can take that leap forward to a final or win, but they can make deep runs and really make the New York crowd kind of into the spirit of things, which is going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with the American men. Of course, no American male has won the U.S. Open since Andy Roddick back in 2003. So that's been the last time that has happened. On the women's side, of course, Coco Gauff is going to be the name to watch. Reigning U.S. Open champion. She's had a rough go of it the last couple of big tournaments, Wimbledon and the Olympics. Does she find a way to get her game back in the order for this event? Of course, Iga Swiatek is a player you always want to watch. Sabalenka is another, Arina Sabalenka from Belarus is another player. Jessie Pegula, of course, the daughter of the Pegula family, the owners of the Bills. Look, the U.S. Open is one of my favorite events in sports. I say that because, like, I went one year, got an autograph from Sloane Stephens, saw a couple of big matches on Armstrong. To me, even if you're just a fan of sports, I'm not talking about a tennis fan. You don't have to be a diehard tennis fan. Of course, the game has kind of taken its twists and turns over the last few years with Federer going away, Murray going away, Nadal not playing, Serena not there anymore. There's a lot going on with the sport where there's new names emerging, but the event's still fun as it is. Like it's a spectacle. You can see when you get these late night matches, best of 5. We'll recap some of them all. Like when we do the show next week, we'll recap day 1. We'll look at some cool matches set to happen. I don't know if we'll preview as much of it, but I think to me the U.S. Open is so much fun to go to. So if you're looking for something to do, obviously the Mets aren't home. They're only home the next couple of days, so they're not home during the duration of the first week of the tournament. Check it out. Tickets aren't that expensive unless you're looking to buy on Ash. Like if you could buy a grandstand pass or a grounds pass and just go around the outer courts a little bit. It's an event you'd love to see. I think you'll be surprised by the high quality of tennis that takes place at this tournament. So again, here's the rundown over the next couple of weeks. Again, we'll be back next Tuesday. Over the next 2 Tuesdays, probably around the same time. And then starting September 9th, right before Jets Niners, we're going to do a Monday afternoon show throughout the rest of the football season. Again, my work schedule, I made it where Thursdays are not possible right now. So we're going to try to work things accordingly with shows. We're definitely going to try to get you at least one show a week. Maybe we'll do a Jets Niners post-game show or something along those lines. If you guys want that, let me know. And again, I'll throw both my social media accounts at Vader555 and at NY State Sports IE. So those are some things you want to take a look at. If you want those post-game shows, let me know. I'll try my best to do them. If I continue to make this adjustment again, you'll see stuff on these walls. It's just new. And we're adjusting to a new normal here, at least personally, and also adjusting to a new normal here from a podcast perspective. But we're going to still bring in one of the best shows that we can possibly bring in. I think that's what's going to make this a whole lot of fun going forward. So to wrap it up here on the network, again, Giants and Jets play Saturday night in the Super Bowl. I'm not a big fan of this, but again, Giants and Jets, definitely want to check that out. It's going to be a decent amount of fun. No, Aaron Rodgers, no likelihood, but what these teams can do, the final of the winter, coming to the team in regular season at the beginning of the New York team for that crucial week 1 matchup. The Yankees are a big matchup with Cleveland this week, and may make a statement. We're hopefully getting up on the roster and then their next 9 games over the course of their season. They have another mini run. They top the wild card race. They might get better shot. Then you look at teams like the Liberty. They continue to dominate the way that they've been capable of dominating. 23-4. WNBA playoff berth already with this season. They have their path on. There are eyes set on much more. It's one of the better stories in sports because it doesn't talk about how dominant the dominant David and the chance it should. You got teams open for that day. which is kind of good luck with that planning in Florida. Hopefully they can advance and predict Hawaii, Pennsylvania later today. On 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. That US Open in New York this week will not be the draws, teams, and all these things that will provide matches. Actually a lot of fun. Of course, lots of cool events. NASCAR, December, college football starts next week. We'll preview the Cup version of the so college football, US Open, games, Mets, Giants, Jets, Wizards. Who knows? We might be the great moment. So much experience. That's why we for you try to figure it out. Thursday tonight for our awesome Tuesday lineup. Plan and support. And a lot of radio and the New York State Sports Radio saying have a great day.